Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the second in our series on of webinars for small congregations. This is Walking the Way of Love Together, which will serve as our as our second our second webinar in this series. So, introductions. First of all, I'm the least important person here. I'm Steve Welch. I am Executive Director of Invite Welcome Connect, which is a ministry of evangelism, hospitality, and belonging. You can visit us on the web at invitewelcomeconnect.com to learn a whole lot more about us. And I'll say something at the end too. Our presenters today, we are very, very honored and pleased and blessed to have with us two icons of the Episcopal Church. First, and they're shaking their heads as icons do. Most icons don't say, "Yes, I am an icon of the Episcopal Church." We have Barry MacGregor, who is a longtime employee, now retired, of the Diocese of Texas, who has a particular passion for small congregation ministry, and she is well known across the country as a speaker and as a consultant for churches. Her most important role, though, is on the board of Invite Welcome Connect. She is also one of the instructors for our Invite Welcome Connect on-demand training, which we'll mention a little bit later. Mary, for a woman as very, very young as she is, has so many years of experience. So we're really happy to have her do this for us. Thank you, Mary. Welcome.
Thank you.
There you go. We are also joined by Canon Jenni Fairs of the Diocese of Southwestern Virginia, who is the staff support for their congregational vitality programs there. And she goes across her diocese working with vestries and congregations in helping them answer some of the kinds of questions we're talking about today. A lot of very small congregations in her diocese, and she has become an expert in Invite Welcome Connect because so many of the tools and uses that we present are of such value there. And her perspective on this is just outstanding, and we're glad to have her with us. Welcome, Jenni.
Thanks, Steve. Glad to be here.
Moving on here. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mary, who's going to talk a little bit about what we're doing today and how we're going to get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Before we get started, welcome, everyone. We're just so pleased to have you. And I think it would be important to start us off with a prayer. So I'm going to start the prayer, and I'm going to end it with the prayer for Connect on page 94 of our infamous book, Invite Welcome Connect. So let us pray. Lord God, we thank you. We thank you for calling us to serve you through your church. We pray you will be present among us as we talk about ways to connect people who are curious, interested in us, interested and longing to be a part of community. So take what we do today and turn it into fruit that will bear more fruit and help people in our churches. And we thank you for the gifts and talents you have bestowed upon each one of us. We invite you to stir up our God-given gifts. Give us grace to bear witness to them. Help us claim our life's work as ministry, as holy, sacred work. Amen. All right, I'm going to very quickly go through our objectives for our time together. We have a very short 1 hour, and there's a lot we want to discuss. We know you're going to have some questions too. So these are the things we're going to talk about. There is a bit of review on the front end for those of you who attended our first webinar on small church Invite Welcome Connect. But we think it's really, really important to reference that. We also think it's important for those of you who were not with us the first time to review some of the characteristics of small churches, some facts, and so forth. So we will do that. We're going to review the core values of Invite Welcome Connect and how they are fundamental fundamental to the work that we do in any size congregation. We're going to talk a bit about the epidemic of loneliness that is just sweeping across America due to lots of different things going on. We're going to talk a bit about why people come to small churches in particular. We're going to discuss holy listening, what that is. We will talk about the essential nature of discovering spiritual gifts, people's talents, and how we empower them for utilization in their lives and in our churches. And then I'm going to review some of the tools that we have that might be most helpful to small congregations on our website. So that's what we are going to do in this very short 1 hour that we have together. So I want you to look at this, and this isn't just another, oh, here we go, talking about core values. Everybody has core values. No, these are fundamental to everything we do. As a matter of fact, you can use these core values as assessment for everything you do in terms of evangelism, something we like to call invite, for welcoming, and also, which is hospitality, and of course for connection, which is belonging. And these 4 core values are that we be prayerful in everything we do, not only praying for our churches, but for the people that God is sending to our churches. Everything we do is intentional, and this is sometimes hard for small congregations. And but intentionality is key. That we plan to do something, we do it, and we follow up with it. Relational. Everything we do in the church is about relationship. It's relationship with God, it's relationship with each other, and it's relationship with our church to the world. So all aspects of this Connect ministry is relational. And then finally, accountable. We got to look at what we're doing, what we have done, assess things, look at feedback, and just continue to hold ourselves accountable for that. So that's really our core values. So I'm going to turn it over to Jenni, and Jenni's going to talk about small churches for a while.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning for those of you who are joining us from the West Coast. Thanks for being on today. I thought we would just revisit a few small church facts, because I think if you're new to the call or if you're on for a second time, I think it's important for us to see the context of which most of us are coming from. So 70% of churches across all denominations are under 100 members. And I think what is actually something to think about on the flip side of that is that actually 70% of all people are attending churches with over 300 people. So there is a small pool of people to work with sometimes. And I know those of us in our small churches really feel that small pool of people when we talk about inviting, welcoming, connecting people to the mission and ministry of our churches. But I did want you to know that you are not alone in this. So to know that no matter where you are, whether you're in California in a really dense area, or if you're in rural southwestern Virginia, chances are there's a small church very close to you. And in these days, it's important to think about how we can network with each other. And so that's just a little idea I might drop, is to be looking for your neighbors who are in the same boat and sharing ideas amongst each other. This time around, I've added a new slide. So just recently, the Episcopal Parish Network did a webinar on facts from the last parochial report. And I just thought this might interest everyone as a new data point, that, as you can see, the majority of the Episcopal Church staffing operations is made up of lay people. I think that I have in here 3-to-1 lay staff, part-time or just non-paid, non-stipendary staff. It's lay people. It's not clergy doing this work. And I really hope today we work to empower some of you who are feeling like you're called into the ministry of your small church. All right, so our next slide is going to talk about, this is how we frame a small church. So if you have under 50 members on a Sunday, you are considered a family church. If you have over 50 members, you are a pastoral sized church. Now, most of us fall between that size, between family and pastoral. And so today, what we're doing is we're thinking about our small church is between 75, under 75 people, but also knowing that most classifications is really under 100 now. So if you have under 100 people, you likely will either have a part-time or one full-time clergy, but no other staffing in your church. The box that I added to this is also new from the parochial report, in that the number of congregations, Episcopal congregations with over 200 people, are 316. This is church-wide. And then the number of congregations with under 50 people is close to 4,000. Now, I would like to think that that shows that we have a lot of work to do, but the truth is that our church, many of our churches have always been small, and that is part of who we are. And so, but I think that this is a revealing statistic. Mm-hmm. The median ASA in our churches is 38. And the median seating capacity of our churches is 138. Which means that many of you are seeing and feeling as an empty space in your nave. And you're looking to Invite Welcome Connect or to other resources to try and see what you can do to invite more people into your churches. All right, so common characteristics of a small church. I think we know them, but just as good to remember that the warm and family-like atmosphere that you get when you go into a small church, that you can do missions in a small church, that you have, if you have children, they are raised up in church so that they get to participate in the life of the church. But the one piece that I wanted to emphasize today with what our small churches do well is, so much as I travel around the diocese, our diocese, is people apologize for not having lots of mission programs, or they don't have lots of children. And so the first thing they say to me is like, we're really sorry, but we just don't have many children. And I really would encourage all of us now to start reframing that when we talk about our congregations. So instead of saying we just really don't have any children, to reframe that by saying that the children that attend here are known and loved and participate in all the life of the church. Our teenagers get to be lay readers. We have our youngest preschoolers carry the elements forward, so that when you're communicating about your church, what you're telling another person is, if you come here and you join us in ministry, you are going to be involved. I think there's another comment I hear is how limited the mission opportunities are in small churches. But again, to reframe that by saying our focus in ministry and mission is X. So our church fully supports the thrift store on the corner. Our members work there. We fundraise for this. This is our mission. And if you join us, if that interests you, join me in this mission. So instead of saying the negatives about who we are as small church, to really build up some of these positives and why people would want to go. And I think it's important to note that people come to small churches because they want that. They don't want to go to a large church. They want to be loved and known and cared for in a family-like way. So to really accentuate those positives. All right,
Thank
Mary.
you. Yeah, thank you, Jenni. That's a perfect ending for talking just for a couple of minutes about the epidemic of loneliness in America. Many of you have probably read Brene Brown's work. She's written a number of bestsellers. She's a sociologist. And what she says about loneliness is at the heart of loneliness is the absence of meaningful social interaction, an intimate relationship or friendships, family gatherings, or even community or work connections. What we offer as the church, and especially as a small church, is the opportunity to be a part of a community, to be known. When someone comes to your church, and we talked a bit about this in the first webinar, when someone comes to this church, they probably looked at you online already, what you said about your website. Some of you do put your worship services online. They are looking for community. This is no accident. Uh, and so it is our responsibility to take on this work of not only welcoming them well, but connecting them into the very heartbeat, the very life of our communities. It is said that today in America, like nowhere else, maybe some first world countries in the world, people can literally live in their home without ever leaving. You can grocery shop from home. You can work from home. You can communicate from home. You can look at a worship service from home. You can entertain yourself from home. There's no reason to leave. This has really exacerbated the situation in America. And so we are a source for people to know there's community in that place. When they see a church, they're going to say there are people there. There are people there. So anyone that comes into our settings, we don't need to make excuses about ourselves. We need to welcome them with open arms. But beyond that, we need to take the effort, once we have welcomed them, to connect them into the life of our communities. And that's really what we're going to talk about next. So Jenni, it's all yours.
All right. So we're going to move into, as you can see, this is why we're here today. Why do people come to small churches? They come for connection. If you want to be connected in a large church, you probably are going to have to join a small group, and you will be connected to a very small 12 to 15 group of people. But when you come to a small church, what we know about our small churches is that you get to share in all of life with the members of a small church. And it's the entire congregation that is sharing in this together, which is so unique to our small churches. So connection is why people come to small churches. There are 3 types of connections that people are seeking when they come to any church, but particularly a small church. And I put these out here because oftentimes in our small churches, what happens is we'll do fellowship really well, and then we will not have necessarily any spiritual development. Or we'll do some outreach, but we won't have opportunities for fellowship. But what we know is that when people come to church, they're looking for these 3 opportunities. They're looking for fellowship, spiritual nourishment, and ministry beyond walls. So if you can, in your small churches, begin to examine all of your opportunities for people who are connecting with you, you should have opportunities in these 3 areas. If you're missing one, there's a high likelihood that that whoever is visiting you is going to go find that opportunity in another church. So we want to make sure that we are trying to find ways to have those 3 opportunities available. So the first one, and likely the most important, is the spiritual formation piece. I find, at least in our churches, when we have lay-led services, which we do, regularly. And if there's no priest that's available to teach a regular formation class, many of our lay leaders are hesitant or nervous about having any kind of formation opportunities. And what I wanted to encourage you to do today is to think about what you can do. What kind of opportunities can you provide that fits within the strengths of the people in your church? It doesn't have to be sophisticated. It doesn't have to involve PowerPoints. It just has to be something regular that people can count on to come. So, for example, a simple Bible study or some sort of themed adult form. Perhaps, you want to study a book of the Bible. Well, everyone can participate because you can get the study guide together and lead it as a unit. You just have to have one person who's willing to spearhead that for you. Book studies are ideal for this type of thing as well, because you have people who will come in from your community to join a book study that interests them. And there's so many good opportunities to right now to gather in community and to have some really deep conversations with each other. And so this can happen in our small congregations. The other thing that I'm going to ask Steve to drop into the chat is the Episcopal Church, the larger website, has a page that offers you the opportunity to go to their formation site and to click on a link there, and that gives you pre-done Sunday school lessons for children, youth, and adults. It's lectionary based, it's free of charge, and it's available to anyone who will click the link. So if you want to try a Sunday school, then this is a perfect opportunity to just go for a free lesson and just print it out and offer it up. And don't be scared as a lay leader to try a hand at Bible study. And because we really feel like that is one of the missing pieces right now in a lot of our small churches. And I'm happy if you've got some questions about that. I'm always happy to answer those if you drop them in the chat. The key that's highlighted in my little yellow pop-up is that churches that are not offering any form of biblical formation are not growing. And that's just sort of a hard stop. Like, if you're not offering any way for a person to come and learn more about their faith, then they're going to, again, look for that in another place. So really, it's important to try and offer this up to within your church. All right, so the next slide has one that we do really well, I think, in our small churches, and that is fellowship. So fellowship is anytime we gather together and have meaningful time in community. And that is one thing that people are certainly looking for when they come to church. They want to have fellowship in a community of believers. I probably don't have to spend a ton of time on this slide, because I would say this is one of the things that our churches do so well. Of course, food, coffee hours are such a popular option for our small churches, and most of them do them very well. But I would encourage us to think about what can we do besides serving food, bring more people on to the table, so to speak, to give more people opportunities to participate. And I've listed a few things on the right-hand side, which are, we have a church here that during the summer, they do a summer supper dinner out, where they just, they pick a restaurant and everyone gathers at the restaurant. There's nothing other than a meal. And at the end of the meal, they pick their restaurant for the next month. It's no organization necessary other than to pick a place out. And they do that just during the summer months, because that's often a time where people are drifting away or traveling. And this allows people to come for an informal gathering. We done here an experiment with spiritual hikes, which is you just invite anybody who wants to come and hike to do that. So we've used an app here called Meetup, which is just a simple app that says, hey, anybody want to go on a hike? Interested in the spiritual realm, but not the religious, and just want to gather and go hike. We've had consistently like 15 to 20 people from the community just show up to try and just hike with each other. So you can do that within your churches. Just offer a hike, low maintenance, no planning, just to find a place to go hike. Game nights are always popular for an intergenerational age group, and so is the trunk or treat if you're trying to introduce yourself to the larger community. The last thing I'll touch on is this empty chair opportunity. If you have been in a church altar guild, or if you've been in any kind of ministry, to have a symbolic chair in your meetings to think about who you can invite. And this is something that you should discuss when you're there. Like, who could we get to fill this chair today? Which is an intentional opportunity to build that ministry. All right. On to outreach. I know I probably need to hurry. I might be running out of time.
That's okay. You're doing fine.
So as far as outreach goes, again, our key to outreach should be to think about what we can do and what we can do well. We don't need 10 opportunities. We really just need one really good connection with the community. I encourage your churches to sit down and to brainstorm all of the things that you already do, and to think about where you can build some emphasis and maybe build a ministry that's already in place. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Think about ways that you can build your own ministries that you're already doing. The other thing is to look around your community and see if there's a need that just your church can meet. And as you sit around your tables with each other, the question that should be asked is, does the community know you're there? We want our communities to know our churches are part of our communities. And so if you answer that question with, yeah, I'm not really sure, then I think that dives into a deeper conversation amongst each other and your leadership of how can our churches be present in our community. All right. The last part is completing this puzzle. And what we want to do here is to look at the tools that we need to connect with other people. So this is like the physical tools of connection. And so Mary is going to talk on holy listening and the spiritual gift survey, but I want to make sure that everyone knows the importance of a connect card in your pews and pens or pencils to fill them out. Two things that I walk into almost every church and they are not there. They might have the card, but they don't have a pen. And so if you cannot get your addresses or email address or a phone number of the people who are visiting you, you have no way of following up. The other added bonus of having a pen instead of a pencil in your pews is that if someone wants to write a check, they can only do that with a pen. And so many times people just shut their wallets because they have nothing to write with. So I really encourage you to find pens, put them in your pews so that people can use them, and to have a guest book or connect card for people to fill out. Lastly, a website or a Facebook. I say have one. If you can't have two, you just can't have two, but do whatever you do well. If you're going to have a website, update it. If you're going to have a Facebook page, put current pictures there and post regularly. So do what you can within your bandwidth to have an updated digital presence.
Jenni noted about being intentional on that slide. It is about intention. I love her comment about the pen versus a pencil. I mean, that is an intentional decision. And one of the things about small church ministry that we have to be intentional in that follow-up. She mentioned the plan for a follow-up. So you ask yourself, all right, we get this information about this person, and it might even be the friend of a member who has come, and you're just making assumptions that this friend is going to share with that person everything about the church. That's not necessarily the case. it is very, very powerful for a representative from the church to contact the individual who's the visitor. And that speaks to the relational aspect of Invite, Welcome, Connect. It's like you as a visitor matters so much to us that we're going to connect with you. And what does it say if that Connect card goes wanting in a drawer somewhere and is not followed up on? It says we really don't care about you. It's that strong a message as someone has filled out a card and they're not followed up, because in our small church, we make assumptions and we just assume this person will, learn everything they need to know through a friend or some other way. So I cannot emphasize more that in order to begin that connection piece, you must have a personal, relational connection. And it's really interesting because a lot of our clergy are saying that a younger generation would prefer a text over a phone call. Whatever way you do it, follow up. And if you don't have a priest, we hope you have an Invite Welcome Connect team. Now, you may have a small congregation, excuse me, but you have a team of 3, a team of 4 that does this follow-up. And they are the ones that kind of oversee some of this intentionality and some of the connection pieces and making sure that we do follow up. So what do we do? Steve, let's do that active listening slide, which is next. What do we do? When we have new people in our churches, I think a lot of us who've been in our churches for a long time think, oh my gosh, we need Sunday school teachers. Oh my gosh, we need whatever, someone to cut the lawn. We need someone to help us with carpentry around here. The last thing we should be doing with newcomers is to ask them to do something without hearing their story. A huge part of connection is not looking at people as a volunteer. We don't even know who they are, what their circumstances, why they came to our church, but boy, we're ready to put them to work. No. We need to intentionally and in an accountable way hear their story. So we call that holy listening. So you can go back to that slide, Steve, on holy listening. So what is holy listening? It is caring enough about an individual to really listen to what they have to say. And we care enough about them to hear about their story, as much of their story as they want to share. And that's being very discerning. But most cases are when a person has visited a couple times to a church and really shown interest in that church, they are more than happy to talk about their story. But you need someone who's going to intentionally engage them in that story. Now, we can do this in a number of different ways. We can have some people who are really trained just lightly. We've got some resources for some very simple training in listening. To say, I'd love to visit with you, love to have a cup of coffee with you. I'm a member of this church. You do not have to be the priest. You can be a lay person, a lay leader in that church, and say, really would like to get to know you better. And so you listen and you ask questions. Just tell us about your life. Tell us how long have you lived here. Tell us a bit about your church experience in the past. Whatever these questions might be. And people generally will really open up if they feel like you have developed a trusting situation where you can listen. You can really listen to what they have to say. So that's a first step. And then a second step, and this one is by Craig Satterlin. He says, when we engage in it, we are hoping and expecting to encounter God in that conversation. Holy listening is indispensable because it builds intimacy, helps people connect with others in ways that go beyond the superficial, resulting in powerful bonds between people. And so this is a way, it's like a first level of connecting a person deeper into the life of the community. So next slide, Steve. But there are some other ways that we can help discern with an individual what their gifts might be, what their talents might be. And you can always do that through questioning. What do you think are some of the, what gifts do you bring? What talent do you bring to the table? What are you interested in doing? What is your lifelong profession? Do you have a passion for a particular thing that you like to do? These sorts of questions. But spiritual gifts inventories are a really powerful way to help an individual grow in their own formation and to be able to share with others, or maybe even discern for the first time what gifts God may have given them. There are lots of references in scripture about spiritual gifts. There are lots of spiritual gift inventories, which I'm going to review towards the end, that we can administer. And this can be a one-on-one. This can be a priest sharing with an individual. This can be a lay leader saying, we'd love for you to fill out this form. We can send it to you electronically and see what your results were. And then you can talk about the results. And if there's anything that comes up that may relate to an opportunity here at this church. And it's not that we're going to directly match every single spiritual gift with an opportunity, or we have something that exactly fits a spiritual gift. That's not necessarily what it's about. This is about personal discernment. It is about the spiritual formation. It's about getting to know these people, connecting with them. And it gives us an opportunity, a glimpse into what the possibilities might be for them here. And very often, it may be something we're not doing at all, that they feel called to do or feel a passion for doing, that are revealed through this spiritual gift inventory, that the church can be the context in which they may be able to explore doing that very thing, or gathering with some other people to do that very thing. These are really good spiritual formation tools for all of us. And sometimes they're full of surprises. You can do them individually. You can do them in a large group context. I know my church, we do spiritual gift formation workshops about every 4 years for our whole congregation. And the surprises that surface are just amazing. People love to do that work. So it really helps us as a community know each other. It helps an individual better discern perhaps where God may be leading them to serve. They're just really terrific. So getting involved through doing these things, through these inventories, and through praying with persons, and learning about them through that holy listening really begins to take a person deeper. And it says, we care about you. We care about you as an individual. And I would gather to say that this doesn't happen a whole lot on a formal, intentional basis in small churches, because we rely on the fellowship, we rely on the casual. This is intentional work. And so we just encourage you, because when a person feels heard, they're much more likely to feel like this is a place where I'm cared for. So it's really, really important work. And as in part of Invite Welcome Connect, we always recommend learning what is holy listening. How do you go about doing it? How do you go about doing spiritual gift inventories, and to get about that work, no matter what size church you're in? Okay. So Steve. These are the tools that are on our website for Connect, and some of them are more appropriate than others for small churches. So I just kind of want to go through this list very quickly with you. Core church is about the very basic functions of a church and how they relate to ministry and to individuals. And it's a simple document, and it definitely can help you in your assessment of your own congregation and what you're doing. The next two, the welcome rite for newcomers and liturgy of belonging, are wonderful, short, liturgical pieces that you can incorporate in your worship service to help a person feel like they belong. It's done during a Sunday service, and it's not confirmation, and it's not reception. It may be that you don't see a bishop for a very long time, but this is an in-between time that you may have a new person come or two people come, and 4 months later they really want to belong, but the bishop's not coming for a year. So let's do this simple little liturgy of belonging, or the welcome rite. The flow chart is one for a larger church, but you can get an idea, if you look at it, of the intentionality of how we move from invite, welcome, and connect. But don't get overwhelmed by thinking you've got to do everything on this flow chart. And don't even look at the OCD chart. That one will tell you that you're going to be overwhelmed if you even try. It's really designed for larger churches. So is a seeker's forum for a larger church. But here we have a short article by Mary Palmer around giftedness and vocation about spiritual gifts. And it's a good one. It's a good introduction. The spiritual gifts scripture references is just a list of where you can find spiritual gifts described in the Bible. So it's a good reference point. Now, the next couple, the motivational spiritual gifts inventory, life in the spirit workbook, opening your spiritual gifts, and shape, all of those are surveys. Now, I have a favorite. And my favorite is Opening Your Spiritual Gifts, the ELCA Woman. And I have recommended this to small congregations, large congregations, whether you're a woman or not. It's beautifully done. And it goes pretty deeply in a very short way about not only spiritual gifts, but even the shadow side of spiritual gifts, which is really interesting work. It's also perfect for a workshop to do at your church. This is the one that my own church uses for its workshop. So if you're going to have 10 people come together to do spiritual gifts inventory, I highly recommend that one. The other ones, the motivational spiritual gifts inventory, is a really good one to take privately. And the shape test is also a really good one for an individual to take privately on their own. You can do the same with the one opening your gifts, but those other two are really particularly good for that. The last three resources, beloved community, story sharing. Story sharing is really about sharing your story. It's a guidebook to do some group work at your church that was put out by, I believe, the Virginia Theological Seminary, and how you can pull small groups together to talk about their personal stories. And then the last two are about holy listening or active listening, the better conversation, a starter guide, and also a pastoral carol special kind of listening. Very simple articles, guides around how do we do this kind of listening that we're talking about. So these are the resources that we have on our website. You can find them under the tab free resources. And when you hit that tab, you have free resources. It's in our toolkit. Look for a toolkit, click it on, and then it'll have resources for invite, resources for welcome, and this resource for connect. So I just wanted to be able to go through some of these to highlight the ones that may be best suited for small congregations.
But we wanted to give you a little bit of more information about things happening at Invite Welcome Connect. There is one more right now, one more webinar in this series, the Small Congregation series, scheduled for January 21st, 2026, same time, 2 p.m. Eastern, at which we'll be talking about the Invite section of Invite Welcome Connect and look at a special assessment tool that helps you look at your church, look at your congregation, and how you're doing on Invite. Good news is if you are registered for this webinar, and you are, you're already registered for that one, and we will send out a reminder the day of, and we'll be promoting it all between now and then. So we hope that you'll see this, that you'll come back and join us for that one in January, in the new year. Also coming up in December, on December 10 at 7 p.m., so it's an Eastern time, an evening webinar, we're doing another introduction to Invite Welcome Connect to give you kind of the basics of the ministry and how it can help in your congregation. We're thrilled that we'll be led that night by our founder, Mary Foster Palmer. So hoping to see a lot of folks there, hoping to see all of you there. You can see I have the registration link on the screen. It's a little bit.ly link, as well as a QR code if you want to grab that and see. And Krista, your question: can we view the first webinar? Yes, you can. If you come to our website, and under free resources, there's the latest news under there, and all the recorded webinars go there, as well as all kinds of articles that help in the areas of hospitality, evangelism, and belonging. So I really recommend that, and we'll talk a little bit more about the website just a second. But yeah, please register for the Introduction to Invite Welcome Connect webinar, and subscribe to our newsletters so that you would be able to get all that information. Quick note about if you enjoy Invite Welcome Connect and you're part of it, we do offer an Invite Welcome Connect on demand. Mary is one of our trainers for that, doing videos in small segments to help you tackle it little by little, along with lots of other resources. It's available for diocesan subscription and also for individual congregations, but much more recommended for diocesan subscription, because when they subscribe, every single person who in the diocese who wants to access the materials has unlimited access to it. We also offer to dioceses that subscribe a live online introduction to Invite Welcome Connect, where we'll meet with everybody in the diocese who wants to meet and talk it through, give an introduction to the ministry, and also show them how to use the website and how to use particularly the on-demand materials. Regardless of whether you're a subscriber or intend to subscribe, we have lots and lots and lots and lots of good free materials to help you with these ministries on our website, which is invitewelcomeconnect.org or .com. So please come there, take whatever you want, use it in your ministries. We are a nonprofit charitable organization. We're not in this for money at all, although obviously we do need money somewhat. So you can subscribe or you can donate on our website. Beatrice, hopefully if the diocese has subscribed, they will have told you. But if they haven't told you and you just don't know, we don't publish the list, the subscribing diocese on our website, but we do have a chat bot on our site. If you come in and say, I belong to the diocese of X, what is my password? The chat bot will give you the password to let you access the materials. And if you find out that your diocese is not subscribed, yell at your diocese, because you really should be. So with that, I'm gonna unshare screen so that we can all look at one another nicely. Excuse me. Stop sharing. So
Hey, Steve.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to answer. There was one question in the chat that said, that they were in a small town, and what would be like one takeaway perhaps that they could share more widely, maybe with their congregation. And what my one takeaway from this particular webinar would be that particularly in the terms of connecting to each other spiritually, and then also the wider community, that intentionality matters, and it's very hard work. So in our diocese, made up of mostly small churches, in our 2023 report, like, we have 61% of our churches which are showing growth. And it's because we're working very closely to say, you need to, let me support you with ideas to get out of your church, or to how do we connect with the community. And so rolling up your sleeves, I think I wrote down, my note was, churches that are intentionally planning ways to connect with each other and with the community are growing.
Yeah.
Because there are people right now who want to go to the church, but they don't know you are there. And so to begin to really push, I suggest one internal event one month, one external event the next month. So like if you're doing something in the Christmas parade in December, maybe in January you do something, a death by chocolate event just for the congregation. That's a really great tool to invite people to participate in. That's how I suggest to work with our congregations, is one event inside the church per month, one event outside the church per month. And that way you're really thinking about, how do we get out of our building? What can we do to put our name back out in front of people again? I hope that answers your question. And I'll also drop my email address in the chat to brainstorm. That's the one thing I think our small churches need the most, is people to brainstorm with. And if you need somebody to brainstorm with, and you don't have a diocesan partner, because a lot of times diocesan partners right now are also few and far between as budgets are cut. Yeah, that's an extension of my work in the larger church. Happy to help.
Jenni is so right. Absolutely. And the word we hear a lot about Invite Welcome Connect is overwhelm. It's said a lot, and it can also be used as an excuse not to do anything. And so being simple and going about it in a very intentional way, but a simple way, it's just perfect for a small congregation. There was one comment I saw about my emphasis on listening, and the greeters tend to sell the church. I am so passionate about this subject that I wrote the Greeters Manual that's brand new on our website. And it goes into specifically the kind of questions you ask visitors, and not to sell the church. So, Elizabeth Connery, you might want to check that new Greeters Manual that really has a lot of guidance for greeters and what their responsibility, what their ministry really is. We have a tendency to want to sell our churches. We love our churches, but that's not the work of a greeter. So anyway, I just wanted to answer that and to point you to the resource that's on our website about greeter ministry. It's brand new.
Just to add to that, Mary, the greeter ministry document is in the toolkit that's in the link that I shared earlier.
Okay, great. It should be in welcome. Yeah, on the welcome list too. Okay, great. What else?
Now, keep in mind, we can't see everybody on the screen. So if you're raising your hand, if you could use the actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn on everybody's ability to unmute themselves. So give me just a second here.
Yes, Christy, you can see the first webinar, right? The video is recorded, right, Steve?
That's correct. It's recorded. We also, and I should mention, we also provide kind of a write-up of each of these as well. So it's not just the recording that goes out, and a recording will go out of this within a few days. That includes an article that kind of gives the highlights and summary of what gets discussed, as well as all the links that we give out, and additional resources and things like that. Pauline, if you come to the let's see, I'll find that link for the toolkit, because the greeters document is in the free toolkit that's on our site. And I put the link to the toolkit a little while ago. I will find it and put it there. There it is. I'm sorry, you were going to say something, Marietta.
Well, I just saw a question about paid staff. We know that so many of our small congregations have part-time staff, unpaid clergy, retired, supply. Both Jenni and I are lay people, and we're here to say that the vast majority of the work is done through the people, through the lay people. And we really want to encourage you to take on the reins of ministry and just know that the church is dependent on all of us, and we can't limit ourselves by the fact that we don't have much staff at all, and that God is calling us as a community of believers to be about worship and ministry and formation and fellowship and outreach. And we can do that. Sometimes it's hard not to have an ordained person around all the time, but we can do that, and we can do that well. And many of our small congregations in the Episcopal Church are very healthy and do that well because they have taken on the empowerment that God has given them to be about this business. So don't let that be a limiting factor for you.
Okay. And Suzanne asks, could we send an agenda for the next session when we send the reminder notice? We will send out a description of what's going on. It won't be sort of slide by slide or point by point, but yes, we'll talk about what we're talking about. I see, and then Elizabeth says, I love Mary's emphasis. Oh, we've already said, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm back.
I would like to say, Steve, our next webinar is really going to focus on evangelism and invite.
Yeah.
And with tools and with ideas, lots of ideas. So that seems to be the hardest one for everyone, and that's why we put it last in the series of 3. So let's come ready to learn about inviting.
Yeah.
And our January webinar.
I'm sorry, Mary. And Ken Kessler says he's been doing small church work since 1972. And your work is absolutely fabulous. We'll push my rich diocese, Texas, to do more. I will say that this ministry originally grew up out of the Diocese of Texas. Mary MacGregor worked for the Diocese of Texas for many years, and they do subscribe. So if you're in the Diocese of Texas, you have access to all of the on-demand materials.
I know Ken. It's great.
Cynthia Bivens says, great practical, inspirational info, and thanks from Trinity Hattiesburg, Mississippi. We thank you. And can we, on that note, and I'm not cutting off questions at all. Mary and Jenni will stay as long as they want to stay. But could we all give just kind of a little wave into the hands thank you to Mary and Jenni for this wonderful presentation. Ken says they have more money than God. Well, I don't know. Does God have money? Yes. Excuse me. But thank you. Are there is Montana Diocese a subscriber? They are not at present. So Roxanne, call in and yell at them. No, very nicely. Say how valuable this is. We sometimes can get lost in the shuffle. New York is not a subscriber. Yeah, I hear you, David, about showing a list of dioceses that subscribe. It's something we've been talking about putting up on the website as a list. We also have a lot of we currently have, I think it's around 20 dioceses that subscribe, and then another 40 individual congregations. We launched on January 1 this year, which of course was after people's budget year started. So we're hoping that a lot more dioceses will join this year. Diocese of Central Pennsylvania, I'm not sure of that one. Yeah, Yeah, the code from Robin asked, do you need a code from them to use the membership? If there is a code for using the membership, but as I say, if you are in a subscribing diocese and you tell the chat bot on our site that you're a subscriber in this diocese, it will give you the code. I shouldn't tell you that, but it's um, but we're much more interested in having as many people use these resources than we are in security on our end. So we trust that people aren't gonna steal access. That said,
And Steve, I don't want to underestimate the value of doing an independent congregation subscription too. It's not terribly expensive for small congregations, and it is about 4.5 hours of intense training. So, if you feel like your congregation, don't hold back, from subscribing as an individual congregation. If you have a team and you would like to really have the full bore training, that's a route that is an alternative to a diocesan subscription.
Yeah, and that starts at $200. Excuse me. So sorry. That starts at $200 for the year, and again, is absolutely unlimited access for everyone in your congregation who wants to access the materials as many times as they want to access them. And it's not just that it's 4.5 hours of video, but there's also all kinds of other material. If the each video has a full write-up on it, as well as links and tools and things like that. So if your diocese is not in a place right now where they want to subscribe, I encourage you to subscribe as an individual congregation.
So I would also just on a separate note on this is really if you have questions about subscriptions and you don't, the diocese hasn't described, but you really want to utilize some of the tools we have here, I really encourage everyone to go to the website. There's so much information on the website. I regularly pull things from the website. There's a lot accessible to you. There's some of the older style teaching videos that you can really just watch and get an idea of sort of how to do it. So, in the meantime, I should say, while you're figuring out about whether or not you have a diocesan subscription or if your church can afford it, really take advantage of the website. There's just it's a wonderful resource that's been curated for many years. And there's quite a bit of richness there that's very practical that you can use tomorrow if you wanted to.
Yes. And we are adding materials every month. We have a monthly newsletter that goes out with articles and resources. We recently added a whole section on the website of resources to make your congregation more welcoming and affirming to the LGBTQ plus communities. And we'll be expanding that. And we're planning as well additional segments to add to the Invite Welcome Connect on demand as well. Those are coming in the new year.
So don't let anything hold you back. Pray about what you're doing at your church and know that we are here to help. And both Jenni and I, just pick up the phone and call us, email us. You can get our addresses through Steve, and we're happy to talk to you. So this is God's work.
That's right.
And we are one Episcopal church and we are connected. So we care about you and the vitality of your congregation. So we would love to have a conversation with you if you'd like to have it, and just utilize the resources we have that are already available to you. So I think that's about it. So thank you, everyone. Wonderful group. I hope we said at least a few things that are helpful to you in terms of how your congregation can intentionally get involved with Invite Welcome Connect.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a blessed day.